It was the morning before the full moon. Isaiah read through his day planner and made check marks on his task list. He was ahead of schedule thanks to some unpaid labor from his boyfriend, Logan. It's not like Isaiah forced him to help, but Logan didn't need to act like a trust fund baby even though he was one. Logan didn't need to be a stereotype. Dominic, another werewolf who went to the resort for full moons, didn't have a problem being a bit of a layabout. But he had a job in customer service and thus had a defense for his laziness. Isaiah could have taken a break, but it would not have been a restful one. The help he got from Logan brought him plenty of time to be anxious about the time he was squandering with indecision and idleness. Both traits unbecoming of a member of the board at the resort. He considered showering, but he hadn't worked up a sweat yet. This was thanks to the help and also a cold front. Not the harbinger of a true autumn, but autumn's early bird imposter. In his human form, the false fall deceived Isaiah. But in his werewolf form, there was no fooling him. A false fall didn't have that aroma of harvest and ripeness. While he tried to find the scent of the imposter, Isaiah smelled the air and recalled what Logan was working on. He walked over to a bench where his boyfriend used a soft bristle brush to apply a dark stain to a sturdy wooden bench. Isaiah had a good 10 inches height over Logan in their human forms. But when they shifted, the bratty redhead became a gentle giant that towered over every other werewolf. In both forms, Logan had the unintentional grin when looking at Isaiah. Sure enough, Logan smiled and gestured to the finished work, placing a lid on the stain. Unfortunately, the damp brush still emitted those characteristic volatiles that made you glad you were working in the open air and not a stuffy factory room. The bench was a memorial to the elderly werewolf named Bill. Cancer lost the fight against Bill twice, but on the third attempt, Cancer was victorious. It happened right after the resort installed an elevator from the parking lot at the bottom of the hill to the entrance. Isaiah figured the elevator satisfied Bill's desire for a more accessible werewolf resort, and if there was a silent killer for fighters, it was satisfaction. The memorial bench sat under an awning, halfway between the elevator and the resort, and stood as a reminder of the person who endeavored to see both. The elevator's chime sounded and drew the werewolf's attention to the stainless steel doors that stood out from the otherwise rustic scene. Isaiah and Logan watched with curiosity until the door slid open and transformed their curiosity to quiet disgust. They recognized this man as the conspiratorial podcaster, Mika Pereski. Isaiah swore under his breath as the figure approached, and Logan looked up from his squatting position to saunter away, not too far behind the board member. The werewolves expected a whole entourage of red suspenders, in lockstep with their poster boy, their avatar of politically respectable metrosexuality. Mika's solitude surprised the werewolves. He also sported a bandage with gauze on his hand. Logan smirked at this and whispered, "How much you want to bet he got that changing attire for the first time in his life?" That would have explained Mika's more submissive posture, alone, wounded, and with no cameras to impress. Isaiah already made eye contact with Mika, so he couldn't pretend to have not noticed him. Somehow he preferred his previous anxiety of idleness over whatever fresh hell this guy brought him. "Excuse me, sir, but we're not open yet. You'll have to—" "Please," the podcaster interrupted. "I don't have much time." Logan chirped from behind Isaiah. "Skill issue." Mika sighed through his teeth, though he scrunched his eyes, frustrated. "I get it. You don't like the show." "You said I hit one of your crew members last time you saw me," Isaiah started, not letting Mika get a word in edgewise. You told your audience I left bruises on them, and I actually didn't, and that is the least of my grievances with you. Listen, just please listen to me. At this point, I don't even care if you're a werewolf. I came here because I can't think of anything else who has managed to tame a dangerous creature before. So I'm guessing you're looking for a story about that? Isaiah wondered out loud. Oh no, not today. Mika shook his head. I need some help. That's what you do, right? You help people. Why us? What happened? Isaiah asked, glancing at the bandaged hand. Mika looked as well before returning his eyes to Isaiah to tell his story. Hello, and welcome to the Mika Peresky Show. Thank you for joining us today. I hope all of you patriots are doing well. Please forgive my voice. It's a little bit more gravelly than usual. I am sure I caught a cold, the same cold that's been making the rounds at my daughter's school. If you're thinking of parenting, here's a little time-saving advice that I learned the hard way. If you're going to the pharmacy to pick up cold medicine for one of your family members, you might as well also pick something up for everyone else. It'll save you a trip, trust me. That virus gets around, and you'll be glad you were prepared. I took 2 trips because I first picked up a decongestant for her, and then a few days later, I made another trip for me, but it wasn't a total loss. I looked at the cold and allergy section, trying to look for the brand that I recognize, and that's when I noticed that there was a new marketing approach. You're going to want to hear about this. I can't believe I missed it the first time because it's in bright blue and yellow, and it says, it also relieves allergies from werewolf dander. That just got me thinking, is that really my biggest concern? I just don't think that that's a priority. Not to be graphic, but it's not going to matter if I had a stuffy nose or itchy, watery eyes when the paramedics and the crime scene investigators mop me up off the ground after being attacked by a werewolf. Can you imagine the autopsy results? Yes, we discovered this John Doe in 10 separate places, but I don't know what the cause of death is. But we have already ruled out coughing, sneezing, and congestion. More importantly, this is just another little step towards normalizing werewolves. Little baby steps away from humanity. That's how it happens. It's a long, slow march. And it only happens because of these little steps, these little concessions. Imagine being in an assisted living center and one of the staff members is a werewolf. Imagine being a normal staff member and the person you care for is a werewolf. Like a dementia patient. You can't place them anywhere else, not in their condition, but you also can't allow them to stay there because of their condition. Now this sounds ridiculous, I know. And it only sounds that way now because we are living in a world where knowledge of these things is still the norm. That is the eventual conclusion of all this. That's where we're going. In the future, it won't seem so outrageous. Not if we let ourselves forget that werewolves are monsters. Just look at the news. Look up the statistics of werewolf-related deaths. There are countless cases. Don't tell me that we don't see the good side of them, because there is no good side. Have you heard of a werewolf giving life-saving CPR? How about a werewolf volunteering at a kitchen, packaging meals for shut-ins and homeless people? How about a werewolf tutoring to help you prepare for the ASFAB? Instead of that, we see body after body after body after body. We know they're dangerous. But here comes Big Pharma to cash in on their social engineering of it all. And they slap that label, and suddenly, people are paying 50, 60, in some cases 100% more. And these labels are even on children's medicine. They want to get your kids on the scam too. It says so right on the box, ages 6 to 12. They are marketing this to parents of young children. They want you to buy their product for your kid so that they can hang out with their werewolf friends. They want you to pay them for the false sense of security. And we're getting too comfortable with these monsters. And the long-haired activists on the campus aren't helping. They started feeling so safe ever since they came up with this treatment, this Dr. Harper's lycanthropy protection. We already found out it doesn't work the way they say it does. You think you're protected from werewolves, but no, you're actually only safe from becoming a werewolf after being attacked. And what, are we supposed to be okay with this? Yeah, go on, kiddo, play with a monster. You can play tag, ride bikes, toss the football around, frolic through the meadow, unburdened by itchy, watery eyes, all the merry way to your early grave. Are you kidding me? Did self-preservation leave the building? I can't be the only one asking. We are forgetting ourselves, and we have to remember, they are not the same species as us. They eat human beings. Why are we trying so hard to guarantee space and comfort for them? If there was a human who ate people, you would lock them up and no one would argue with you. It's a heinous act whoever does it, so why are we so much more tolerant when a werewolf does it? Why do we ruin land in this endeavor, land that could be used for anything? Instead, we build a giant playpen for America's newly rebranded monster. If you think that's lunacy, buckle up, because we at the show went on a rabbit hole. I could not let this go. I needed to find out how they figured out the medicine also worked on werewolves. How do they know? How did they check? They couldn't make this claim if they couldn't back it up, right? Come on, we trust the science, don't we? That's what everyone keeps telling me to do, so let's do it. On that, I have some good news and I have some bad news. The good news is that they didn't expose anyone to these monsters. The bad news is that the government is perfectly fine with their claim, which I will explain. They said if you're allergic to wolves, you are very likely allergic to werewolves. So, how do we know if someone is allergic to wolves? Well, most of the time, people who are allergic to dogs are also allergic to wolves. It's more of an assumptive thing. Why can't we just get a sample of werewolf dander and study it? We have enough of them around. Our research team set out to answer that very question. They've been working on it for a day, and I know it's not a lot of time, but you think they would find something. Anything at all. It would be strange if you couldn't find even one study about this. And that's what we were looking at so far. I don't want to jump to conclusions, but I will say that if this trend continues, I believe it is because research is being suppressed. Someone or something does not want you to know about this. Don't get curious. Don't go poking around. Trust us and take your medicine. Yummy, yummy. Don't you just like the taste of indoctrination? Don't worry about the monster hanging out in your best friend and I'm sorry, where did you come from? No, I think you're in the wrong house. How did you get in here? You are Well now, that's no way to treat a guest, is it? Especially one that you've invited in. I heard you calling for me. You seemed insistent, so I thought I'd pick up on the phone. Oh, I see you're having yourself a little broadcast. Well, I would hate to rob your fans of a good, informative time. Since I'm taking control of your body, I might as well make it entertaining for everyone involved. Dearest listener, salutations. It's so wonderful to have the chance to speak to fellow fans. It is in your best interest not to ask my name, though doubtless there are many of you foolish enough to try. I am currently piloting this, let me check, man from the inside, very similar to a demonic possession, similar but not quite. I've been meaning to have a little chat about monsters with this self-appointed expert. He talks so much about monsters and science, but as a fellow scientist, I believe our dear Mika could benefit from a peer review. And as a monster, I can provide that review. How shall I describe the flaw in your approach? You blame the crushing weight of the water, but never the voice that seduces you into the depths. Here you're warning everyone about complacency, saying that everyone is too relaxed. You do it from the comfort of your safe haven. It's so smooth and sterile, with sanded butcher block tables that have yet to meet a blade and won't for a very long time. Such a long time to finally feel the stinging and burning it was created to endure. Fated to grow old, but never wise. Would you like some wisdom? These werewolves, each and every one of them, no matter how grotesque or menacing, are all so human. They have human needs like sustenance, shelter, companionship, intimacy, safety, belonging. I love all these things as well, but for different reasons. As a monster, I take these comfortable ideas, these cozy bastions of purity and innocence, and I corrupt it. I make people afraid of their food. I make people suspicious of their friends until they leave them altogether. My process is scientific in nature. I measure a person's values by how much they are willing to forfeit in order to maintain it. You take their needs from the top down, taking shavings like little baby steps and concessions, as you aptly said. Then you see what they're able to give up, what they value to maintain what they have left. You might think that I'm pure evil, and you might be right. I'm also very godly. Look at the story of Job. See what he does to his most devout. How would you like to feel so devout? I think all of us will hear the answer to your question on your next broadcast, and I look forward to it. For now, I have things to attend to. My pet Displacer Beast gets really irate if I don't feed him on time, and he can be a bit insistent. The werewolves watched Mika nervously unwrap the bandage on his hand. Isaiah caught a glimpse of the wound, widened his eyes, and shot his hand out to hold the gauze back on the wound. It made Mika wince and demand an explanation. It could be listening. Keep it covered. I'm going to get some help. Isaiah decided before tapping Logan on the shoulder. Watch him. Handle everything that happens. Don't let him take the bandage off. I will explain later. Okay, Izzy, Logan replied, taken back by his boyfriend's change in tone. The taller werewolf held Logan's hand and sighed. You trust me, right? Of course I do, Logan affirmed. A quiet pause hung in the air while the usual commotion of the setup crew rose to the surface of their attention. Isaiah affectionately placed both hands on the sides of Logan's head and offered the redhead a warm, optimistic smile. It reminded Logan of his grin, and he couldn't help but return the expression. Isaiah left the two of them and moved with a purpose into the resort. Logan looked at Mika, who seemed begrudgingly tolerant of the affection the two men just shared. The werewolf knew how the podcaster felt about relationships like his, and he decided if Mika could keep his stance to himself, then Logan didn't have to get defensive. I'm Logan, by the way. Can I call you Mika, or do you prefer Mr. Peresky? Mika's fine. Mr. Peresky's my father. He attempted a joke. So are you part of the cadre? Kinda. I rode here with Isaiah. We go down to see his family for dinner, and then I travel up here. We do it every month. Mika nodded. Are they good people? They try, Logan replied. Most of them listen to your show. They don't buy the supplements, though. Mika scoffed and chuckled. That's fine. They don't do anything anyway. The podcaster eyed the bench longingly before seeing the can of wood stain. So, are you He struggled to think of the kind word for what Logan is. If I was, would you shoot me like you tell others to do? Logan's stiff expression betrayed him, making it obvious he was indeed a werewolf. Mika shook his head. I'm unarmed. I wouldn't want something like that on my person if that thing takes control again. But you would, wouldn't you? Logan insisted. Because I'm exactly what you talk about. One moment I'm weak and pathetic, too passive and too feminine to be taken seriously. The next I'm a bloodthirsty beast, a carnal juggernaut, defiant of my rightful place under your foot. I took precautions, but you were right. Eventually, I slipped up and I turned someone, and they turned another. I'm just another chain of infection waiting to happen. I recall hearing those exact words from you. So you would be in the right to shoot me, wouldn't you? Mika put his hands up defensively. I don't want to talk about hypotheticals right now. It's been a really bad day. You wouldn't understand. It was Logan's turn to scoff. Buddy, if there's anyone who understands losing control of yourself, it's a werewolf. I'm kind of curious why you came here of all places. Why didn't you go to the police or a hospital? You wouldn't have been around a bunch of werewolves, unarmed no less. Mika shrugged off the danger. There are worse things. You want my honest answer? Well, now I do. Both of those options involve the police. If they say something disreputable about me, I can't say they're lying. Being favorable of law enforcement is part of my show's brand. But if someone here said anything, well, my audience just wouldn't believe it. Logan didn't know what he expected. That eerie quiet came back, and the podcaster needed to fill the silence for his own comfort. He asked about Logan and how long he'd been a werewolf, about his time at the resort, about his family and how they were coping with him. Truth be told, this was the first time the man had knowingly spoke to a werewolf or asked about their experience. What he found was the realization of his deepest fears. The thing he was speaking to was a human being.